All set, Nicola?
I'm all good.
Good. Just check. All right, well, kia ora, good morning everyone. Can I just start firstly by acknowledging my ministerial colleagues, Nicola Willis and Chris Bishop, and also all the team that are here from NZTA. Thank you for being here this morning in what is one of the fastest growing parts of our country. Look, we all know that really great infrastructure is key to growing our economy. It's why, in fact, it's one of the 5 key pillars in our Going for Growth plan. And it certainly takes a really big team to get infrastructure built. And with every new road and every new classroom and every new hospital building, it creates local jobs and therefore lots of opportunities for small businesses to contribute. And when a road is built, travel times for Kiwis come down and it becomes faster to get to where you need to get to, freeing yourself up for more time for other things. So the bottom line's pretty simple. Better infrastructure makes our economy more productive, and that in turn makes Kiwis better off with higher incomes. Now, we're not here today to announce proposals or working groups or committees. We are actually here to announce that by Christmas there will be spades in the ground on projects worth $6 billion across the country, including new roads, new classrooms and new hospital buildings. And at the handles of all of those spades will be thousands of Kiwis whose jobs will be created by these projects. While our Infrastructure and Transport Minister Chris Bishop will provide more details shortly, I can confirm that includes good progress on the roads of national significance and the roads of regional significance. Now, there are some out there who oppose the creation of new roads, but we are on the side of the Kiwis who need roads to get to their jobs at the crack of dawn, to deliver essential goods like food, and also to get their kids to school. Because the longer it takes you to get somewhere, the more it costs for our produce at a supermarket. The longer it takes to get a tradie from job to job, the more it costs you. I actually remember a few years ago meeting a vet when I was down from the Waikato, and she told me that Waikato Expressway had enabled her to do 1 or 2 more jobs each and every day, and importantly be able to jump in her car and get home to her 2 little girls at the end of the day much quicker. So all of that just adds up to the hundreds of thousands of Kiwis in very similar positions and with similar stories, and that creates huge amounts of productivity gains that are immense for our economy. On top of those gains and the new jobs that these projects will create, functional and modern infrastructure means a brighter future and a higher quality of living for all New Zealanders. Think of the previous projects that the National Party delivered: the Waterview Tunnel, the Waikato Expressway, Transmission Gully and the Christchurch Motorway, and the soon-to-be completed City Rail Link. These are all game-changing projects that improve the lives of Kiwis who use them. And while today is about providing a pipeline of the projects getting underway over the next few months, the work doesn't stop here. We are doing more than any previous government to deliver job-creating, nation-shaping, economically powerful infrastructure. Our investment summit told the world that we're open to deals that will get things built quicker and faster, and it's already paying off dividends with projects like the Ruakura Super Hub going forward because of the partnership between Tainui and Brookfield. Our fast-track legislation, championed by Chris Bishop and Shane Jones, is making sure the system prioritises saying yes to new projects rather than finding a way to say no. And potentially that alone could deliver 55,000 new homes, 180 kilometres of new roads, rail and public transport routes, and also 30% more electricity generation. And finally, in the longer term, our RMA reform will enable that mindset into our planning approach as a country. So, can I just say again, we are a government of infrastructure because we are on the side of Kiwis who need it to grow their businesses, to get to work, to raise their incomes and improve the quality of their lives. And now I'll pass off to our fantastic Minister for Economic Growth, Nicola Willis, to say a few words.
Thank you. Thanks, Prime Minister. It's a pleasure to be here today. Today's announcement is the government getting things done. We are getting on with building the modern roads, schools and hospitals that New Zealanders need. We're also ensuring that New Zealand gets better bang for buck for the infrastructure investment that we do, with better planning, less red tape and smarter delivery. As you know, infrastructure matters for our economic growth, and the New Zealand economy has been recovering after a protracted downturn. The data tells us that our economy grew strongly between October and March, outpacing the predictions of forecasters and some other countries. We don't yet have data to confirm what's happened since March, but it is clear that global uncertainty has had a big impact on consumer and business confidence here at home. So it's more important than ever that the government work to strengthen our economy and create the conditions for more jobs and better incomes. And that is exactly what we are doing. Our mission is to improve things for Kiwis right now, while also making changes that will set our country up for a better future. And that's what the Going for Growth plan that I released in February is all about. The plan sets out what the government is doing to drive more activity in our economy, create jobs, lift incomes, and take pressure off the cost of living. So today I'm releasing an update on the progress we've made on the infrastructure part of our plan and what we'll be focused on over the next few months. And I'll be releasing similar updates for each part of our plan: developing talent, competitive business settings, research, science and tech, and overseas investment and trade. Infrastructure delivery is a big part of how we're going to grow our economy. It is needed to make this a wealthier country, but it's also needed to give New Zealanders better quality of life. Roads to move goods and people around our country quickly and efficiently, classrooms so our kids can be educated for good jobs, health facilities so doctors and nurses can deliver world-class health services. And yes, doing this requires significant investment, and our government is putting the dollars in. But dollars are not enough. We also need to get good value from those dollars, and our government wants to make sure that we can pick up the pace of infrastructure delivery and get better value for the investments we make. New Zealand spends a large share of our national income on public infrastructure investment. In fact, in recent years we've invested a larger share than many countries, around the top 10%. But here's the kicker. Historically, we've been in the bottom 10% for the value we get from the investment. And that's because New Zealand hasn't been building cost effectively. So our government is turning this around with faster planning and consenting, better funding and financing, smarter delivery of projects. In education, for example, through smart use of standardised designs and off-site manufacturing, we've almost halved the average cost of a new classroom, down from around $1.2 million to around $620,000. That means we can build more new classrooms for New Zealand kids. Our government is of course also making it easier for businesses to deliver big infrastructure projects. It's not just the taxpayer who wants to build. And that's what our reforms of the resource management system will enable: the reduction of costs in building and construction, and providing a 30-year plan for the pipeline of upcoming infrastructure. These are projects that will make a difference in the here and now, but they are also about making a difference for New Zealand in the longer run. If you think about projects like the Waikato and Kapiti Expressways, they've transformed their communities, enabled people to get to work faster and local businesses to operate more efficiently. They have unleashed economic growth, and the projects we are detailing today hold the same promise. Thousands of Kiwis will be employed over the next 6 months building infrastructure for our future. So bring on the high vis and hard hats. Let's get growing New Zealand. I'll hand over to you, Chris.
Well done.
Thank you, PM. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you to Fulton Hogan and NZTA for having us here today. Actually, this project where we're at, State Highway 1, Papakura to Drury, is a great example of a project that will drive growth and productivity, reduce congestion. We're basically building a new city out here. Areas like Pukekohe, Drury, Pairata, Takanini set to accommodate 40,000 new homes over the next 30 years, along with thousands of new jobs. And the next stage of improvements here at Drury will tie into the work already completed on Papakura at the Motorway Service Centre between the Papakura and Drury interchanges. Stage 1B of the project will incorporate 3 new motorway bridges over the North Island main trunk railway line. These bridges were completed last year to support the electrification of the line out here to Pukekohe. Investing in road upgrades like this, as the Prime Minister has said and Nicola, are essential for building a transport network that supports growth around this region and around the country. What we're releasing today is that over the next 6 months there will be $6 billion worth of infrastructure projects that will begin construction right up and down the country. The project here at Drury is well underway, as you can see, but in terms of roading alone in the next 6 months there is $3.9 billion worth of roading projects. Otaki to north of Levin, that 4-laning of the dirt track that currently exists between Otaki and Levin, a very dangerous section of State Highway, the continuation of the Kapiti Expressway and Transmission Gully. We will turn the first sod on that in the next couple of months. That is a massive program of work, multi-billion-dollar program of work that will support thousands of jobs and make that road a lot safer. The Melling Interchange, project very close to my heart, alongside the Riverlink project, $1.5 billion worth of investment alone in that project, starting again, as I say, turning a first sod on that in the next couple of months, and I am really looking forward to being there for that. The Waihohai Road upgrade, there's a new bridge at State Highway 29 outside Tauranga, Omanawa Bridge. So about $3.94 billion worth of roading projects alone that will start construction just in the next 6 months. Health projects, there are upgrades to Auckland City Hospital, Middlemore Hospital, there's a new acute mental health unit at Hutt Valley Hospital, and construction on the new inpatient building at Dunedin Hospital has also begun, as you'll have seen from Simeon Brown. Nicola made mention of school upgrade projects. In the next 6 months, there are $800 million of school property projects that are getting underway around the country. These are role growth classrooms, upgrades, redevelopment, learning support satellite classroom, administration blocks, gymnasiums, up and down the country. And as Nicola has said, because we've moved to modular, standardised design, we're getting much more bang for buck out of those school classroom projects. But in the next 6 months alone, $800 million of school property projects just in education. There's a new biosecurity facility in Auckland for the Ministry of Primary Industries. We're building a Papakura District Court interim courthouse, and there's a small number of significant projects that we can't announce today, but will begin construction in the next 6 months. There's a range of commercial reasons for that, but we will all make those projects public over the next 6 months, but they are included in the $6 billion that is included, and you can expect to see announcements about that. This is just the start. The National Infrastructure Pipeline, maintained by the Infrastructure Commission, shows planned future projects of $207 billion across central government, local government and the private sector. Those are projects into the forward pipeline, not in the next 6 months, but over the forthcoming years and decades ahead. This is a government serious about investing in New Zealand's future, serious about infrastructure, getting on with the job of building a better New Zealand that drives productivity, growth and reduces the cost of living for New Zealanders. And with that, I think all three of us are happy to take your questions. Thank you very much.
Prime Minister, you guys talk about the $207 billion infrastructure pipeline. I mean, how much is the private sector going to be coming to the party on these projects moving forward?
Yeah, look, we've said, look, we've got a choice. We can do it all on our own with our own balance sheet, and that would mean that projects get delayed, but we actually will partner with private sector where it makes sense for us to do it. We obviously are doing a huge amount of investment ourselves as government, but it's a combination of both those things. At the end of the day, what we want to do is make sure we deliver for New Zealanders so they get that infrastructure built faster, quicker, so they can get the benefits of it, and ultimately we get the economic growth benefits of it, and New Zealanders get higher incomes as a result.
You only have to look at the fast track list to see that there are some private developers who are really ambitious for projects over the next few months. There's several projects on that fast track list which people want to start this year. We're talking 100 home residential developments, big factories, big developments. So that's private money going into building infrastructure.
How much progress has been made since that infrastructure summit earlier this year in terms of attracting private investment?
Yeah, I'll let Chris talk to that. Yep.
I mean, the biggest thing is the Northland Expressway. That was the kind of flagship project at the summit, which we announced that we were going into market procurement for, and we announced 6 weeks or so ago, I think it is now, that there are 3 consortia that have been formed in order to bid for the right to build and operate the first stage of the expressway from Warkworth to Wellsford. And all 3 of the consortia involve international firms that came to the investment summit. So you've got a whole range of European big major contractors and construction companies, all of whom were at the summit, who have formed part of the 3 different consortia. Now it's a competitive process. NZTA is leading that. There'll be announcements, in the next few months around the preferred bidder. It's a competitive process, and that's one of the reasons why we're going to be able to get better value for money out of that project. I suppose the other thing I would point to is, as the Prime Minister made mention, is the project at Ruakura. Brookfield Asset Management investing hundreds of millions of dollars in partnership with Tainui at the Ruakura Super Hub, which is an amazing inland port, which is connected to the railway line there, great rail connections over into Tauranga obviously as well. Basically, Brookfields and Tainui over the next 10-15 years are going to build a new logistics hub at this very fast growing part of the central North Island. It's a fantastic project. Brookfield are on the record saying the reason they felt confident to make that investment is because they came to the investment summit. They want to partner with Tainui to build out that area. The government's doing what we can to support that. So the Hamilton Southern Links project, which is a road of national significance, essentially surrounds the inland port there. So that's one of the RONs that we'll be building over the next few years. And we've just, NZTA's just approved actually, there's an access road which is inside the port area, or the inland port area, which is getting some Crown funding alongside other funding as well too. So the Crown's doing what we can to support that. But those are the two major outcomes out of the investment summit so far. But it's early days, and we've always made the point that the investment summit was about sending a message to the world that New Zealand's open for business, not just in the next 3, 4, 6 months, not even frankly the next year or two. It's about the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years after that, because these projects we're talking about are very long-lived projects, and we want to send that very clear message that we're open to private capital, we're open to the world, we're open to investment.
And Mr Bishop, these small number of projects you can't make public today, why can't you make them public? And you're able to detail exactly, is it roading, is it schooling?
Oh, there's a range of, some of them are roading, some of them are I would classify as non-roading projects, but there's a range of commercial reasons. No, I don't think there's any railway projects in there. There's a range of commercial reasons. I think final tendering and things like that, where if we announce them with their dollars attached to them, then it may prejudice some negotiations. So, but they all start in the next 6 months, and there'll be individual announcements about them in the next 6 months. So rest assured, you'll see them.
Sure, and the announcement coming today that they'll be started in the next before Christmas, between now and Christmas, what's happened to enable this, or were they always going to start between now and Christmas?
We really wanted to pull it together and announce as part of the Infrastructure for Growth update that we're releasing today as part of our Going for Growth plan. Wanted to highlight that there is significant construction activity about to start in the next 6 months around a range of these projects. And so it's about highlighting that fact and making it clear to New Zealanders and the rest of the world that there are a range of projects happening up and down the country. And it's part of this government's agenda to grow the economy and build better infrastructure for all New Zealanders.
Just a housing question for you, Minister Bishop. Tama Portaka said on Q&A that the government's latest homelessness report blames emergency housing policy for contributing to more homelessness. Will you change the policy at all?
Well, there's a range of factors when it comes to homelessness, obviously. No one wants to see New Zealanders sleeping on the street or sleeping rough. Often what you've got there is a range of complex challenges. So people sleeping on the street and sleeping rough have options available to them, and if they talk to MSD, they will find an enormous range of support, from transitional housing to extra support for them to get off the street and into warm, dry accommodation, and also wraparound support as well. But let's be honest, you're dealing with people with a range of complex, often mental health challenges, addiction challenges. There's a range of things going on there. No one wants to see that, and the government's working hard to make sure that there's support available, and also that we provide the wraparound support that is needed for people in those situations.
So you will be changing the policy?
Well, there's support available right now. So as a government, we spend in a year around $500 million per year on a range of different support services for people who are facing housing challenges. That ranges from transitional housing, which is a very big spend, through to emergency housing, which is always available there as a last resort for people who do need support, through to a range of housing support products provided by MSD, through to bond payments, through to sustaining tenancies policies, where once we get someone into a house, we want to make sure they don't put the tenancy at risk. So there's a range of support available to make sure people do that, through to Housing First, which has been a very successful program in terms of getting people off the streets and into warm and dry homes, and then the support available to them as well. So there's a range of support available. As I say, in a year we would spend around $500 million. It's a substantial sum of money. But as I say, there are people who are living on the streets or sleeping rough who face a range of complex challenges, and it's not to say that we've given up on them. We haven't, but we are going to work hard to make sure that those people get access to the support that's required.
Just maybe a question for the Prime Minister, just on, possibly Minister Bishop as well, but just on boy racing. There were a number of boy racing events across Auckland last night, police responding to all of these events. apparently peaceful, but I just want to get your take on the boy racing events we are seeing across the country.
Yeah, well, you've seen we've got legislation coming before the House in process around making sure that we crack down on boy races, and it's because we've heard the community. It's incredibly frustrating for community members who are encountering boy races, several times a week. We've said enough is enough. You've actually got to be a safe driver. You can't just end up causing inconvenience and pain and suffering for your fellow Kiwi citizens. So we're going to take action on that. And so we announced that several months ago. That piece of legislation is going through the House, but we want to crack down on that because actually, do it. We want people to be safe, and we don't want people inconvenienced. The communities are fed up with it. They've had enough of it, and Chris, you've seen it up and down the country too as well,
terrible.
and it's been it's
Shocking.
been pretty frustrating for everybody. So I'm sorry, but to the boy racers out there, your days are coming to an end because we've got some pretty tough penalties coming that way around your cars.
And Mr. Bishop, you just came back from the U.S. Was there anything in transport and housing in Houston and New York that you're looking to implement here in New Zealand?
Yeah, a couple of things. I was in New York to look at congestion pricing, time of use pricing, which is obviously something the government's advancing. We've got legislation before the Parliament right now, and New York congestion pricing has been remarkably successful. Very unpopular when it was initially proposed and implemented, to be fair to say. People pretty unhappy about it. It's $9 to drive into Manhattan, but the results have been remarkable. Traffic safety significantly improved, congestion is down, and people are now walking the streets of Manhattan because there's not as clogged as it used to be, and significant productivity benefits. So interestingly, in New York, very unpopular, 3-4 months in, overwhelmingly supported by New Yorkers now because they've seen the effects of it. So that was really interesting. We had a meeting with the New York Transportation Department to sort of work through how exactly it was implemented. It's quite complex logistically. We want to make sure we can get it right here in New Zealand. Obviously Auckland would be the first starting point, so yeah, really useful there. It was in Texas as well, and there's lots of things I could say about Texas, but yeah, we're looking at spatial planning there, and the great thing about Texas is they've got housing affordability under control. Average house in Texas, 3.5 times average household income. In New Zealand, in Auckland, it's about 8 to 1. In Texas, 3.5 to 1. And the reason they've done that is they've spatially planned properly. They've got a 30-year plan for the roads that get built out in and around Houston. And then secondly, they've developed innovative funding and financing tools so that if someone wants to go and build a new subdivision or go and build a new town, frankly, as long as they can pay for it and they can get it through the consenting regime, they can go and do it. And that's precisely the type of environment we're trying to create in New Zealand. If you've got dough and you want to build some houses, you should be able to go and do that. And we want to create a planning environment that is as enabling as possible for people who want to go and build houses. That's how you get housing affordability under control. You make it as easy as possible to build, baby, build. And that's what we're going to do in New Zealand.
And besides fast tracking, is there any other safeguards in place to make sure infrastructure budgets to stay within these restraints?
Yeah, well, when it comes to privately funded infrastructure projects and privately funded subdivisions, the incentive is on the person doing the subdivision to make sure they keep costs under control, because at the end of the day, it's not government money, it's their money. So that's the great thing about Texas, is you've got these new master plan kind of communities that's been going since 50 years or so, dotted in and around Houston. They're basically just small little townships built by the private sector without, frankly, any involvement from the city of Houston or the US federal government's got nothing to do with them. They probably don't even know that they're happening. But they're houses for people in need, and people. The great thing about people spending their own money is they tend not to spend money on unnecessary frippery. So that's the incentive there when it comes to privately funded infrastructure.
Thank you.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right. See you.
Very good. Now we'll do a bit of a tour.